this is Maninrago from Bataan. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
I'm Sela Sadakau from Vatukula. I only listen to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold Benaka, I'm Vale and I'm working at Golden Pro Resort, and I love listening to Gold FM because it plays a really wide range of classic music.
I'm Saini Sakio from Kashmir Wotoka. I like Gold FM, but only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Spade. This is FBC News. Tonight, New Zealand Prime Minister John Key ends Fiji visit. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama hits out at biased New Zealand media. And Fiji and New Zealand promise for a new positive way forward. New Zealand Prime Minister John Key has ended his whirlwind two-day visit to Fiji after flying out of the country this afternoon. Key was here to patch up relationships with Fiji. Kelly Vadala has more.
It was a busy day for John Key this morning as he met with President Chiochi Kondrote before dashing off to meet the cabinet, after which he also met with the opposition leader.
We're here to try and help both the government and the opposition. People come to New Zealand for training and for support and those kinds of things, and we'll continue to behave in that way where we can try and allow this democracy, which I think is evolving, to evolve at a faster pace and to the highest standard possible. The purpose of the trip is not to look back or to try and relitigate history. The purpose of the trip is to look forward.
The last thing on the agenda was a trip to the Nyala High School, where they opened the new block of classrooms built by the New Zealand Defence Force after Cyclone Winston.
Great that New Zealand was able to come along and help the people of Fiji, and particularly to help rebuild your school. And I think you've had some other very generous people, Intech, if I think the company is right, that's also been amazingly generous in helping to get your school back on its feet. So every 3 years the New Zealand government gives about $1 billion New Zealand dollars to help give aid and support to the people of the Pacific Islands, and we're increasingly giving more of that to Fiji because we want you to do incredibly well. And one of the things that we focus a lot on is education.
He has given assurance that he will support Fiji's bid to have Peter Thompson elected as the President of the UN Security Council. However, he has one condition.
It would be great if Fiji would give its support for Helen Clark. We're going to support Peter Thompson for the presidency, and we're hopeful that he will be successful.
He and his entourage left the country at 5 p.m. today. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
We now cross live to Akosita Tale, who is in Nausori. Akosita, overall, a successful visit by John Key?
Jackie, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama, Prime Minister John Key says today's bilateral meeting with our Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama was a very successful one. Key also had the opportunity to inspect the reconstruction of Nyala High School in Wainibuka this afternoon. We are now here at Nausori Airport, having just farewelled Mr. John Key, who departed the country in the last hour. Key was accorded a 100-member Guard of Honor that was mounted by the Republic of Fiji military forces. Key now departs the country on a new foundation level and hopes that the relationship that has been formed between Fiji and New Zealand now continues to grow from strength to strength. Key also says that Fiji now has a special place in his heart, and adds that this was a very successful visit, having to see things in a very practical sense to see what New Zealand is currently doing in Fiji. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that update, Akosita. Fiji is calling for a new political relationship with New Zealand that's more equal and rooted in mutual respect. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama, whilst hosting his New Zealand counterpart to a state dinner last night, requested John Key to be more understanding about Fiji's priorities. Akosita Tale with the story.
A big New Zealand contingent with a big agenda: to rebuild damaged relationships and to identify issues of mutual benefit. But our Prime Minister made it very clear that any new relationship has to allow us to conduct our own affairs in our own way. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama appealed to John Key to be less prescriptive but more consultative and understanding of the challenges we face as a nation.
We are not New Zealand. We have different challenges and priorities. We are not the New Zealand democracy, evolved and robust. We are the Fijian democracy, finely genuine, yet still in its relative infancy, with institutions that need to be strengthened.
Bainimarama called for New Zealand to work with Fiji to strengthen our democracy, help improve the lives of Fijians and other Pacific islands, as well as build strong institutions without political bias or interference.
Your aid must complement the implementation of our policy agenda, not undermine it. After all, we don't always want to be dependent on aid. And this can only be achieved if we work in a collaborative manner. Work with us because there are many lucrative business opportunities for New Zealand companies given the liberalization and modernization of the Fijian economy under my government. Prime Minister, a great partnership is possible.
Key has assured Fiji that the two nations can work together to make both nations stronger.
You made the point that you want that relationship to be one more of equals. In coming to Fiji, I wanted to demonstrate exactly that we treat the people of Fiji with respect. We have great hopes that our relationship can be strong and fruitful and beneficial actually to both countries. And whether it's in the area of trade, whether it's in the area of support for one another.
The Fijian Prime Minister says the strained relationship of the past must be replaced by genuine cooperation and understanding. He says a great partnership with New Zealand is possible, but it has to be based on mutual confidence and trust. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Vorenge Bainimarama says a substantial body of opinion in New Zealand led by a hostile media seemed to suggest that Fiji lacks legitimacy. This he has criticized as unfactual reporting by some New Zealand media. Akusita Tale has the details.
It was an issue that New Zealand media had speculated Prime Minister John Key was going to bring up with our Prime Minister. But Vorenge Bainimarama seemed to preempt this issue and took to his official address to point out that even though Fiji has moved on, New Zealand media has not.
New Zealand television ran footage of tanks in the streets of Suva when our military does not own any tanks. They had been interposed from other sources. A claim was made that Fijian children were starving and were eating grass. These are bad examples of willful bias and misreporting.
Bainimarama criticized Australian media and certain journalists in Fiji as well for failing to report on facts.
No one who reports on events in Fiji fairly and in a balanced manner is excluded. Any journalist is free to criticize my government or me in an opinion piece or report criticism made by others in their news stories. But we cannot allow the willful propagation of false information that damages the national interests and undermines our vulnerable economy.
The New Zealand Prime Minister has assured he will take Bainimarama's comments and statements on board.
My reason for coming to Fiji wasn't to relitigate any of the issues over the last 10 years. As you correctly pointed out, the modern Fiji, I find, will be very different to the one that I experienced when I was here many years ago. The purpose of coming is to say that this relationship with New Zealand is a very important one.
Bainimarama has welcomed Key's statement that what has happened in the past is ancient history. Journalists that have been banned from Fiji include former Pacific correspondents for the ABC and Fairfax, Sean Donny, Michael Field, and TVNZ journalist Barbara Driver. Bainimarama says no other journalist from any other country has been banned, and journalists who respect facts and the right of people who know the truth are welcome to Fiji. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Fiji and New Zealand are great friends. These were the words of New Zealand Prime Minister John Key, who concluded his official state visit to Fiji today. Maggie Boyle with this report.
In a historic state visit, the New Zealand Prime Minister John Key reiterating his position of a newer, stronger relationship with Fiji.
I didn't come to Fiji to relitigate the issues of the last 10 years. I came to Fiji to demonstrate actively
that New Zealand wants to progress the relationship, that there is a great deal we can and should be doing together, that New Zealand is utterly committed to the Fijian relationship. We see Fiji as great friends of New Zealand.
It was a sentiment echoed by Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama.
We have a much better understanding of our respective positions and a solid foundation in which to move the relationship between Fiji and New Zealand forward.
The Prime Ministers held bilateral discussions this morning on a range of issues,
including partnership in development, the Winston recovery, of course, civil aviation, double taxation, migration and travel, trade, and of course our mutual commitment to deal with the effects of climate change and rising sea levels.
We've been resetting our aid budget and ensuring that more of it goes into the Pacific, with now over 50% of New Zealand's aid budget going to the Pacific and increasingly large amounts of aid coming into Fiji.
Following on from this, Prime Minister Key then met with the Leader of Opposition, Rotemu Mukepa, and held a closed-door meeting, after which he headed to the Otago berthed at the Suva port.
One of the areas of cooperation between Fiji and New Zealand is the crackdown on illegal fishing. Here behind me is the Otago. She's been in Fiji waters monitoring illegal fishing vessels.
The New Zealand Prime Minister's visit heralding a new phase of partnership between our two countries. Just how strong and endearing it will be, time will tell. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Coming up on FBC News, World Child Labour Day sees vital stats revealed, and Ministry to invest in risk reduction.
FM rocks. My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Ulamila. I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM. It rocks in Raki Raki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Affiliates of the Fiji Disabled People's Association should submit their 5-year plans in advance for proper financial management. Finance Minister Ayaz Said Qayyum relayed the message while conducting budget consultations with the association today. Sainiani Boiler reports.
Heads of Fiji Disabled People's Association subsidiary groups were asked by the Finance Minister to provide plans during the budget consultations today.
Give us a plan for the next 5 years. You should better know and better plan your strategy for the next 5 years. Because if we are able to set out your plan for the next 5 years, we then know exactly what you are up for, we know exactly what your end result is, and where you want to go, as opposed to getting an idea 1 year and doing X, Y, Z. So it also then helps us because there is also a lot of assistance that can be available.
Syed Qayyum says the government always has priorities when it comes to expenditure.
So there is what we call all competing interests. All competing interests. Now, that's where governments come and give their priority. They say, no, we want to spend more money in this area because this is very important for the country. And under this government, we want to spend money in areas that what we call the enablers. In other words, we enable people to do things.
The Finance Ministry will continue with the budget consultations with students in the Central Division in Suva Grammar tomorrow. The 2017 national budget will be announced on the 22nd of this month. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
The Ministry of Labour has received 182 cases of child labour in the country since 2011. Acting Permanent Secretary for Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations, or Sedawaru, says the Fiji's Bill of Rights clearly states that children are to be protected from all harm. Kelly Vadala has the details.
Child labour is considered a serious issue around the globe as it deprives young children from receiving proper education.
Child labour is purely work that deprives children of their childhood, their potential and their dignity. Child labour is harmful to the health and physical development of a child.
European Union Ambassador to the Pacific Andrew Jacob says that most children are being sent to work at an early age to provide for their families.
Child labour is a result of poverty. When families are poor, when communities are poor, parents send the children out to work to make money. But it is also a cause of poverty.
Teachers and students commemorated the event today, with this year's theme being Ending Child Labour in Supply Chains is Everyone's Business.
At a very young age, when children are involved in labour work, it affects them mentally, physically. They destroy their sweet childhood and make them work.
They don't get to have the proper education. Like some of them, they just do like big jobs, carpentry, but they're not paid the right amount.
I think it's wrong. I think children shouldn't be going to work at that age. They should be going to school.
According to the International Labour Organization's data, hundreds of millions of girls and boys are involved in work that deprives them of education, health, leisure and basic freedom. The World Day Against Child Labour provides an opportunity to further gain support of individual governments and local authorities. Kelly Vavala, FBC News.
The Rural Development Ministry has revealed plans to invest in risk reduction development. Months after Tropical Cyclone Winston, the ministry is looking at ways in which development can be sustainable. Ali Kimbia has the details.
To ensure long-term benefits for rural and maritime communities, the Rural Development Ministry is looking at new methods.
We should invest in risk reduction, and of course we should look at environmental protection so that development can be sustainable in the long term, because we need our environment, and of course we need to invest in risk reduction so that the effects and the costs will be minimal in the future.
Considering the vast amount of damage caused by Tropical Cyclone Winston, the ministry has stated that development will only be possible if there is cooperation.
The way we do cooperation within the country and of course within the communities as well, and of course with our international partners as well. We need each other, we need one another during times of calamity.
According to Seri Ratu, the plan will not only improve the quality of life, as it will also minimize the effects of future disasters. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
More than $600,000 has been paid out in workers' compensation in the first 5 months of this year. Minister of Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations, Semi Lavisao, says that $664,081 had been paid out in compensation so far in 2016. Lavisao says it is a requirement for all employers to report injury or death cases.
The law says that the ministry is responsible for occupational health and safety, and any worker can come up to the ministry and complain about the conditions under which they are being employed in, and the ministry will look at every individual complaint that will be lodged.
Says the total payout has been for 114 cases, which includes 104 injury-related and 10 death cases where the doctor's medical opinion determined the outcome. We turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and hi again. Coming up tonight, Fiji and Tonga ready for battle, and Lambasa wary of Nandranga and Fiji fact. Details after the break.
आपको खरगंगा के रंजिला का नमस्कार। रेडियो फिजी की सुंदर सुंदर यादों का खजाना एकदम बचपन के दिन याद करा देते हैं।
हमारा नाम जोनी नायडू है, हम रहता है मलोरो में और हम टैक्सी ड्राइवर है। हम सब टाइम अपन टैक्सी में रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनता प्रोग्राम।
हम सिंगाटोका के हैं, हमारा नाम है रोजी। हम लोग यहाँ पे रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनता है।
राम राम, मैं रेमस प्रसाद बोलता हूँ, तब वता में कोई रहता हूँ। मैं जब भी सुना रेडियो फिजी 2 ही सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Vodafone flying Fijians lock Leone Nakarawa is confident the team will perform to its best in the Pacific Nations Cup opener against Tonga tomorrow. Nakarawa says he is always happy to represent Fiji, whether it be 15s or 7s. Vasnil Prasad has more.
Leone Nakarawa is one player every rugby fan loves to watch when he is in action, but for him, it's just another season of representing flying Fijians.
Every time they always email me to come to Fiji, it's an honor and a privilege to come. I always like feel happy. I can't wait to come and to wear the jersey again because that was my childhood dream.
The 28-year-old lock is hopeful the young players in the team will live up to the expectations against Tonga.
We've got a lot of young boys, but they've been playing really well for the PRC, and I still have faith in them.
Nakarawa will earn his 36th cap for the Flying Fijians, and for him the main goal is qualifying to the 2019 World Cup in Japan.
To play, to just enjoy, to come out tomorrow and just enjoy. Because Fijians, like when you come out, you have fun in the playing field. You always like see the true Fijian flag.
Coach John McKee also revealed the plans as the team went through its captain's run this morning.
We want to, finish Pacific #1 at the end of the qualifying process next year. So, we need to win these games, especially these games on our home turf.
This is the silver where the teams will be battling for in the Pacific Nations Cup. Last year the Flying Fijians won it, and our team will again try its best to keep this at home. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
For Flying Fijian Naulian Dawai, representing his country will be the biggest moment of his life. Dawai will make his debut against Tonga tomorrow after being selected for Coach John McKee's starting 15. Vashnil Prasad again.
It has been a dream come true for Naulian Dawai, who is ready to make his debut for the Flying Fijians.
Excited. It's a big moment and a very proud moment, not just for me and my family, but for my people back in the village as well.
The Otago ITM Cup player says his experience will take him through this season.
I'm just going to try and just take everything I learned and just learn all my roles and just execute it on game day.
Playing at the blindside flanker for the Flying Fijians, the Nandi man is glad to be alongside some seasoned campaigners.
There's a lot of experienced players in the team, especially Sunia and Leon Nakarawa. They've really helped me a lot, especially with lineouts and scrums and just the rules and running lines in the field.
While Dawai is set for a debut run, another player looking forward to win his second cap is France-based Benito Masilevu.
It's a great pleasure to play alongside some of the veterans, and like Mbai, Sonia Koto, and some of the bigger names like Patrick. It's a great pleasure to be with them, and I'm looking forward to contribute to whatever I have.
These players will carry the hopes of the nation. With PNC being dominated by junior All Blacks before, Flying Fijian hopes to become the next team to rule the competition. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, a young Tonga rugby team will be out to prove odds wrong when they take on the Flying Fijians. The Ikale Tahi has a good number of young players in the mix with its experienced reps. Captain Nili Latu says, just like Fiji, the main aim is to get their PNC campaign off to a winning start.
Probably the youngest team we have so far in the PNC, so it's really pleasing that some of our young players are stepping up. So some of our seasoned campaigners are taking a bit of time off with family, so it's the opportunity to step up tomorrow. So, but so far so good, when we're happy where we're at the moment.
Fiji takes on Tonga at 3 p.m. tomorrow at ANZ Stadium, and you can catch a live commentary of the match on Bula FM. Revenge will be on the cards when the Lambasa football side takes on Nandrunga in the feature match of day one of the Vodafone Fiji Fact next Friday. The last time the tournament was held in Lambasa, Nandrunga defeated the Bambasing Lions 2-1 in the final. Nandrunga also defeated Lambasa in the 2001 final 7-6 on penalty kicks. Lambasa has played 11 Fiji Fact finals, the most by any team, winning 4 of them. Meanwhile, the hype for the tournament has increased in the northern town with a week away from the start of the first match.
Some years ago when we had a tournament there, we had a similar situation where the stadium tickets were all sold out and people were waiting outside, and they were calling on us to sell the ticket, but we could not do so because the limitations has to be respected. The OHS and other requirements are there, so we have to confine to the numbers of seats that are available.
Lambasa plays Nandrunga at 7:30 p.m. next Friday. Nandi Jet Runners Club will hold a fun run in the Ra province next month. Club President Abhinesh Kumar says they are expecting more than 150 athletes to take part in the event. The race will begin from the Ra High School grounds.
The good news is, like, people in that area has been very shown interest, in this event. We have hosted one in January and there was about 150 people who competed. I'm expecting more this time because it's just like our high school, and I think this event will be one of the successful.
The Ra Fun Run will be held on the 17th of July. That's it from Sports Tonight. Jack is up next with business.
The Ministry of Local Government will sign a lease agreement for the redevelopment of the old Nausori market site in the next 2 weeks. Local Government Minister Praveen Bala has confirmed paperwork for the initiative has been finalized and dismantling of the old building is expected soon. Shop and Save Supermarket has won the tender to redevelop the vicinity and will see a $40 million investment in the proposed shopping centre complex.
The developer will give around $3 million to Nausori Town Council as part of the understanding that we had with the developer.
The project shall provide 100 car parks, 2-floor retail centres, 2-floor office centres, 2-floor hotel apartment centres and cinemas as well. Warm and sunny day with slight drizzles was the order of the day in most parts of the country. Lambasa was the warmest at 30 degrees, while Suva was comfortable at 29, whereas the rest of the major centres were cool in the higher 20s. Tomorrow looks much like today. Sunny skies with chances of showers up north. Other centres remain dry. Looking further ahead to Sunday, expect slight drizzles and cooler nights at sea. Southeast winds gusting up to 15 knots, moderate to rough seas. And recapping the main stories from tonight's bulletin, New Zealand Prime Minister John Key ended his Fiji visit this afternoon. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has hit out at biased New Zealand media, and Fiji and Tonga teams ready for rugby test. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. And onto this week's poll question, we are asking, are you happy with the new venue for the Hibiscus Festival? To answer, visit our FBC website. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Ni Modamanda.
Alango katonesia tugotua, aongonia saurara, ondo wulwultagi chungana TV ni na market tawa. Untuk talitanga na warong na Bula FM number 2 na siya. Bula mana Fiji, nada ko plasyo matairi, ngon mai na bulo tabiuni, au satu ko nanti, untuk talita na warong na Bula FM. Bula FM number 2 na seri.